made countless amazing memories during my years at Holy Rosary. Every year my knowledge grew, along with my love for God. Holy Rosary has helped me to build a strong foundation that I will always remember whenever I move on to another chapter in my life. Teachers have always been there for me and helped me along my journey. Even though I am growing older and going to high school, I will never forget where my roots are and the lessons I have learned. Let me take you back to where it all began, pre-K 2010. Although it is a little foggy, I still remember some of the highlights from that year. I can remember walking in and meeting my teachers for the first time. Mrs. Gollenbow and Miss Hall were standing there ready to greet us with big open arms. I think just seeing their smiles made all the tears go away. We went on many adventures that year. Going to the pumpkin patch was one of them. When we got back later that day, the teachers told us to go into the play yard and look under the tree. There, we saw a bunch of tiny little pumpkins that had magically grown after we had thrown seeds on the floor. I recall feeling super excited because our seeds had grown into small pumpkins in a day. Survivor Day and doing art had to have been the best part of pre-K, besides becoming closer to my lifelong friend Rachel. Now that I look back on it, I sure did take nap time for granted. I wish we could have had nap time in 8th grade. Next, I want to tell you about my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Tanner. To be honest, I don't remember every little detail from 2012, but I do remember one thing for sure. Mrs. Tanner was the kindest and most gentle human ever to be my teacher. I remember getting in trouble one time, and she somehow made that not feel like a bad thing. There were a few times when I had the opportunity to have my family come to my classroom on special days. On Grandparents' Day, my Nana and Nano came to take me to the book fair and spend the day with my sister and I. Another time, my Nana came on Career Day. She talked about her nurse job to the whole class and brought her stethoscope to show everyone, and I thought it was the best thing ever. My godmother also came on a special person day for me. One of the field trips we went on was to the fire department. We got to try on the big jackets and look at the big fire truck. Miss Cabrera also made that year very special. She was always there for me too. First grade is the year where we had 8th grade buddies. Most of my memories from that year are with my buddy. I remember that she was super nice and fun. She would always let me ride on her back, and she would walk around the blacktop. The whole school went to see the play The Little Mermaid Jr. as a field trip, and we walked to the theater in downtown Antioch. When I was 6 years old, I loved it so much, and I remember that I laughed super hard in the middle of the play when the student who played Eric said something supposedly funny. My buddy just turned to look at me and started laughing along with me. Now that I look back, she could have gotten mad at me, but she just sat there laughing along with me. She was probably just so embarrassed she didn't know what to do. My teacher, Mrs. Robb, was also really nice. I also remember learning to read a big book and then reading it in front of my whole family. I surprisingly remember Jump for Heart Day from 1st grade, where I also had a ton of fun with my buddy. We kept on trying to do a double jump together, but she was so much taller than me that it was not working. As you can see, my buddy is at the center of all my memories from 1st grade. 2nd grade was a really big year for our class. We had been looking forward to receiving our first communion and first reconciliation for a long time. We were either going to get Mrs. Vanderklut or Miss Lawrence, both of which would be amazing. They both played a very special role in my 2nd grade year. I remember on the night of my first reconciliation, I was super nervous because I thought I would get in trouble with the priest and he would tell my mom. Not that I did anything bad, but just the thought of this priest just letting me talk to him was an overall new experience. I eventually got over it because everyone was in a happy mood that night. Before we could make our first communion, we had to make special banners to hang around the church for everyone to see. That was a really fun night because we got to be creative and make it our own. Then, we had our first communion. That was an amazing experience, seeing everyone all dressed up and finally getting the opportunity to receive communion at Mass. That was really great too, because we then got to go back to my house and have all of my family and friends over to celebrate. As a field trip that year, we went to the Jelly Belly factory. That had to have been the coolest thing ever because we got to see everything in the factory being made. There was also the part where we got to get free samples, and that was pretty good too. Second grade year was a very memorable one with a lot of big life-changing experiences we got to encounter. Third grade was a new year with harder challenges than second grade. I had Mrs. McPeak, and she taught me a lot. I got better in many subjects because of her perseverance to help me. Okay, so we all learned that Mrs. McPeak loves Mountain Dew. So, as a present one time, we got her a whole case of it. It was so funny. We went to Chabot Space Center as a field trip that year, and it was so cool to see all of the different space things they had. Mrs. McPeak also taught us to have a deep love for God every day. We had a really nice retreat in third grade, and we did fun activities and prayed a lot. Fourth grade was a fun year. I had Mrs. Ciccoletti, and she was a very nice teacher. One memory that I have from that year is when we went to Columbia as a class. That was super fun. We got to walk around the town and see all the little shops in the historic areas of that town. The best part is when we got to pan for gold. They set us each up with our own pan and taught us how to dig for the gold. That was really fun. Another great part of that trip was when we went into the candy shop. Everyone was in awe of how perfect it looked in there with all of the different candies. I mean, it was kind of like a mini Willy Wonka factory there. It was really cool to get a little flask of gold to bring home to show everyone. Mrs. Ciccoletti was a really nice and funny teacher to have. In 5th grade, my teacher was Miss Keenan. Her classroom looked amazing because she had a ton of Disney decorations all over it. She had Disney drawings all over her class, and our AR goal tracker was even Disney themed. The overall best part of 5th grade was going to Marin Headlands for a field trip. It was the most beautiful camp, and we were even by a beach. We went on many adventures and did tons of activities. It was really fun to be able to sleep in bunk beds and in a sleeping bag, getting the full experience. One day, we went to stand on this little bridge that crossed over to the beach to do an experiment. It was pouring rain, super windy and cold, yet it was still really fun. By the way, I just thought I should add that the food there was crazy good. Like, everyone could not stop talking about how good the food was. Another great part of 5th grade for me personally was joining track and field. It was my first year doing it, and I tried doing the shot put. I ended up going to the diocesan championships and winning first place. Anyways, 5th grade was a great year and I had fun. 6th grade, we'd finally made it into junior high, and we were so excited. We were ready to face new challenges like more work and responsibilities. There was one experience in 6th grade that we will never forget. We went on a field trip to the Rosicrucian and to the Tech Museum. The trip was going smoothly all until our bus ride home. Our bus broke down, and all we could do was wait for a new one to come and get us. Little did we know that it would take hours for that to happen. We were starting to go a little insane and started to play random games on the bus. By the time the new bus came and we were on our way, it was already close to dinner time. So we pulled into a huge Costco parking lot in this random city so my dad and I could get pizzas for everyone. It was the highlight of our year, getting to have a mini pizza party in a bus in the middle of nowhere at night. When we got home later that evening, everyone had been fed, had a long, interesting day, and was ready to go to bed. That is the most memorable thing from that year. 7th grade, that was a big year for us all. We couldn't wait to go to Caritas Creek for a week as a field trip. We had heard nothing but good things about it all the time, and it was finally our turn to go. That week was amazing. We got to meet a ton of new people who would later become friends, along with making new memories. We did so many fun things there, like going on hikes, playing games, and talking with new people. When we went, it was Halloween, so we had a big party and wore our costumes. They had a haunted house and everything. 7th grade was also the year that I had my dad as my teacher. That was pretty cool. I also got into NJHS in 7th, which I continue to strive to stay in. Last year was super fun and was a key part of my journey through HRS. Last but definitely not least, 8th grade. There are no words to express how amazing this year was. We did so many fun activities and got countless opportunities to serve our school community. We learned how to step up and be leaders and be more mature. I don't have any specific memory from this year because every day was a new adventure. We went on field trips and did so much more. We went to Camp Hammer, a Christmas play in San Francisco, and on a girls' empowerment retreat. All of these things that we did were fun because we were together. I had a lot of fun helping out with the behind the scenes whenever needed also. It was cool to be able to see how everything works, especially because when I was younger, I would always just see the banners on the wall or simply go to town hall. Even though we may not get to graduate all together the way people normally do, it is still special. We are still together, even though we are apart. We are the students of 8th grade. We are the class of 2020. Not graduating the normal, expected way doesn't change that, or change all the amazing memories we made together. Our 8th grade teachers, Ms. Lojano and Mr. Crisalago, made this the best year yet, and were always there for us. We had so much fun together. My years at Holy Rosary have been such a huge part of my life, and I am so happy to know that I can always call this place home.
I will remember you. Will you remember me? It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again. Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. I've had the time of my life. No, I never felt like this before. Yes, I swear it's the truth, and I owe it all to you. I've had the time of my life. No, I never felt like this before. Forever young, I wanna be forever young. Do you really wanna live forever, forever and ever? I will remember you. Forever young. Will you remember me? And I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again. And I've had the time of my life. I hope you had the time of your life.
For the longest time, I couldn't see my life beyond Holy Rosary. I kind of thought that the world would just end, and that would be it. And since the beginning of 2020, that kind of seemed like that was a possibility. But it hasn't. We're still here. And guess what? Our journey is far from over. Like Hamilton, there's a million things we haven't done. Holy Rosary has provided us with a great foundation, but it's only the foundation. We will go on to do so much more with our lives. Just you wait. So yeah, 2020 has been a rough year so far. I don't think I need to remind everybody where they are right now. And I think we've heard enough of the "we're all in this together" commercials on TV. Instead, I'll just focus on the good. During 2020, we finished Proteus. That was hard, and you should be proud. We also did ropes and made people cry. We finished assignments and homework and took tests and notes. We're graduating. We made it through all of it. And I'm sure there were points in time where we couldn't see the end in sight with Proteus or science fair or of our years at this school. But we finished those. So even if you don't see an end to what's happening right now, I promise there is one. So the world hasn't ended. Class of 2020, what do? We keep on living. We know there's pain ahead, but there's also opportunities and new experiences and treasures that await us. We've had so much life left to live that we can't even imagine what we'll do with it. Our journey is far from over. Holy Rosary has taught us quite a bit, but in all that time, it was only preparing us for what comes next. Don't worry, parents, because you got your money's worth. Not only has the school taught us academically, but it also gave us life lessons. You can't be afraid of hard work. Things in life will be unfair, and hard work is required. There will be highs and lows, but think about all the great memories you've made at the school, all the fun times we had together on field trips, all the funny moments in class, all the drama at the school dances. That was life. And there's more of it to be lived. This school has taught us well, and now we will go on to make our own decisions, carve our own paths, and build on the foundation that this school has given us. So guys, the future is wide open. Do with it what you will, but don't forget from whence you came. And this too shall pass. So be excited about the future, because there's a million things we haven't done.